What's up, guys? So today I want to talk a little bit about a recent tweet that was released by Steve Myers, uh, the vice president of iRacing, I believe, and a couple of people mentioned it during my live stream. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on the tweet and what it could mean, and possibly the future of NASCAR game. I mean, we don't really have much information about anything other than this tweet. So, without further ado, let me just read it. I'll show it to you here and I could give you my thoughts on it. So, crazy to think this is the 20th anniversary of the game and next year the same for NASCAR Racing 2003. So, yeah, it's the 20th anniversary for Dirt to Daytona. It's been 20 years. I still remember playing this game. So, this is not a game I've talked a lot about through the years. I usually refer to NASCAR 2004 because, most people, including myself, do consider that to be, at the top. But I have to say, Dirt to Daytona is like neck and neck. And I don't really know why I haven't talked more about this game. I had a lot of great memories with it. So this is a good time to talk a little bit just about this tweet. And it goes on here to say, would the community support a new console Dirt to Daytona game? And then he puts a laughing so hard he's crying emoji. I don't know what the emoji means. It's almost like he's just messing with people. Um, Dale Jr. also tweeted kind of the same thing. I saw that tweet. I didn't see this one, but more and more people started bringing it up. So I said, let me go see. It's pretty much the same tweet, but this is coming from the executive vice president at iRacing. So I don't think I'm not. I don't really don't think this is just a tease, right? Like I don't think they're just trolling people. I think that they do have plans on creating a future NASCAR console game, right? Now, when I say console, uh, I do, or at least I hope that would also include PC. So when we say console game, we're just talking about video game, right? So we all know iRacing is a service. It's an racing simulator service. It's not really a quote unquote game. Uh, so I think that they do have plans for this. I don't see another developer anywhere who's going to step in to develop a NASCAR game. Everybody knows the issues right now. Motorsport Games still has the license. They're just dragging their feet, and they refuse to just die and go away. And they're gonna try to make back whatever losses they can, at least to salvage some of their losses, right? Which is why they're just not gonna walk away. All they have coming in the near future is the DLC update for NASCAR Heat 5, and really that's not going to save the company. And it is something that a handful of people are waiting for. A lot of people that were disappointed with Ignition just went back to Heat 5, and it's not a bad game. My issues with the Heat franchise were always the fact that they were just kind of taking baby steps every year. They did make a lot of decisions I did not agree with. I did not agree with them going to creating a dirt series, right, for the third game when there were so many things still missing from the franchise. And I said, you know what, this is the third game. You got to start delivering things. We still didn't have a paint booth. Um, there was no presentation. We still didn't have stats. There was so many things missing, just basic quality of life type features, and you're adding a whole dirt series. They had to make those tracks from scratch. They had to work on different set of physics for dirt. So to me, it was a lot of time and resources that could have gone to really improving the game that you already had, and maybe even making the career mode deeper and a little bit more immersive. These are the things that really matter, for people that play these console games. That's what they're looking for. But instead, all they did was add a meaningless series that really, I know there's people out there that enjoyed the Dirt series, but you can't say that it significantly improved the experience. So by the time we got to the fifth game, yeah, we did start to see some real improvements, especially when it came to the AI. The AI I was really, really happy with. It wasn't perfect, it still had issues, but mostly relating to things like tire wear wasn't perfect, and definitely had issues still with the pit logic, right? Green flag pit stops, that type of thing. For some reason, um, we never really got a system that just got it right. So, anyhow, I don't want to rehash all that, but just saying, um, these I would love to see a Dirt to Daytona remake, and I don't see, like I said, this it's going to be iRacing or nobody. They already have a relationship with NASCAR, so they already do have licensing deals. It's just not a license to develop an entire NASCAR video game, right? So they can make cars and tracks, and it's available on iRacing service. Now, iRacing, it's great, for what it is, but it's not a video game, and it doesn't deliver things that video games are meant to deliver, which is an immersive experience, right? When you play a video game, it's really not so much about realism as it is about, you know, uh, diving into a fantasy, right? And if it's a sports game, you're just playing, you're role playing, right? So you're role playing as an athlete in the world of a specific sport. Other sports games, or other developers of other sports games, they get it right. They understand this. The NBA 2K franchise, it's deep, it's immersive. The presentation is second to none. And that's why I still play those type of games, because you can't get that from any NASCAR game. Even the best NASCAR games never really got that part of it. So, I think this is more than a tease. I think that they are at least in the drawing. They have plans on the drawing board, so they kind of have a blueprint of where they want to go. But it's about, when do we actually start developing this, right? Obviously, it's all tied up with this fucking licensing agreement that NASCAR has. Ridiculous length of years. I'll never understand it. But now, as I've told you guys, Brian France is involved. He's got his financial investment company, and this is one of their investments is Motorsport Games. So, as I've told you again, also is, Brian France still has a lot of weight with NASCAR. He has a lot of pull. So I don't think there's any coincidence of why NASCAR is silent. They just, for a very short period of time, there were rumors that they wanted to pull out from their licensing agreement with Motorsport Games, and then those rumors died off, right? So if you've been watching any of my latest live streams, I've already talked about this, but I think there's still a path to iRacing taking up, you know, development of a future NASCAR game, and I think this is what they want to do. This is why they're teasing this. It's also something that was developed by Monster Games, who is now under iRacing's umbrella. Now, in my live stream, I talked a bit about it. I also, I saw some people had concerns when it came to Dirt to Daytona. They don't. There are people who don't like the fantasy stuff, fantasy drivers and sponsors and that whole mix. But my take on it has always been, Licensing creates a huge problem, especially with NASCAR games. Even going back to your Technics, I remember a lot of times when people were asking, what's taking so long with a patch, right? Or whatever the case is, right? Or some DLC. And Utechnics flat out said things like, well, we're still waiting on approval for certain things. A lot of issues that had to do directly with sponsors or licensing agreements or even agreements with race car teams, right? Everything has to be approved. So if you're going to have official sponsors and official names of people and teams and everybody's got to sign on, they got to approve everything. The licensing alone is a huge, huge obstacle. And I don't think it takes anything away from the experience if you have a bunch of phony sponsors, made up drivers. That stuff never bothered me. In fact, I think it gives creative license to developers to do things that they otherwise couldn't get away with. Now, that's one thing I did like about the Dirt series that 704 added to the Heat series. I did like the fact that they could just let their imagination run wild. They just used complete fantasy tracks. They made these up. And if I was a video game developer and my boss came to me and say, "Okay, this is what we want to do, but you know what? This is all based on fantasy. Let your imagination run wild." I think that would excite me as a developer more than anything. Because it's one thing for them to come to me and say, "Okay, you got to make sure this is like this. And we got to make sure that the sponsor logos are exactly like this. And you got to make sure that the drivers look exactly like the real life counterpart." Whereas if I was told, "Hey man, just let your imagination run wild, do something." Now I'm developing something not based on like, okay, I have to adhere to a specific set of rules, but like somebody says, "Hey man, what do you think would be cool? Just work with it." And I would be like, "Shit, let me see if I can get this crew chief to actually have where you as a driver can interact with them throughout the game. Before the race, after the race, during practice, back at the race shop. You can actually, complain to this crew chief about how the car is handling. And you could say things like, the car is tight on entry and it doesn't want to turn, or it's really loose on exit." And then the crew chief can actually give you a couple of options on what to do, and then he could say, "Okay, well, I can do this. I can maybe give you a stiffer right rear spring, and we can go from a 900-pound spring to an 1100-pound spring, and that's going to make the car turn better, right? But you're going to be looser on exit, or different types of things, right?" We don't see that in NASCAR games. And we already know that you can implement systems like that in a video game that work because we've seen it in Project Cars 2 at a much more basic level. But the car engineer in that game, you could complain to them about how the car was handling and specific aspects of the handling, and the car engineer would actually respond to you and explain to you what certain things, changes that he could make to the car, how would what it would cause the car to do, and you could do that, right? And then if it wasn't enough of a change, you can just go back and give the same complaint again, and he would just make a bigger adjustment. So that stuff can work if you implement it, and we've seen it work. So it's not like something that's impossible. And I talked about this stuff years ago. And then for them to actually implement that in Project Cars 2, I was ecstatic about it because I was like, this is what I've been screaming about for years. I want to see NASCAR game developers try things like this, and it would make the gameplay experience more immersive, right? Um, how much more time would you actually spend in practice or testing? Of course, you'd spend more time because now you don't have to be a fucking car engineer to understand these things. The game guides you through the crew chief, and you can have that relationship, and that can play a vital role in your career and give you a narrative. And there's so many things that I would love to do, right? If I was a game developer, but when you are just locked into these licensing agreements, it creates obstacles. You can't just go and do whatever you want. You got to follow, it's almost like copy and paste real life and try to make it work. So that's one of the things I really liked about, when these guys added the Dirt series, even though I don't support what they did because it took away from the time and resources that they could have put into things that were severely lacking in the series. So, but in Dirt to Daytona, we saw a lot of fantasy stuff, and I remember how much I enjoyed it. Some of the sponsors were hilarious, um, but I really think game developers would enjoy that. I think a lot of work that goes into development of a video game, it could be tedious. We think it's all fucking great and fun, but I'm pretty sure a lot of it is very tedious. So giving people that kind of creative license, I think would go a long way just to make a better game. And I do think Dirt to Daytona benefited a lot from that. So um, it's a great game, and it's a shame. It's been 20 years since we've gotten anything close to that. Um, so I'm hoping that if iRacing is looking at Dirt to Daytona as their way back in, okay, if and when they start making a NASCAR game, I really do believe they have plans for this. I just think that they can't pull the trigger yet. They just can't pull the trigger yet because motorsport games, right? And that license. So they're just sitting there watching, and they're watching these guys lay on that hospital bed, just hooked up to that fucking life support machine, and they're waiting for somebody to come pull that plug. But you know who's there watching the machine? Brian France. He has a lot to lose. So he's not the only one, by the way. I don't want people to think that I'm saying, hey, it's all Brian France. I'm just telling you that he's one of a handful of the bigger investors, right? So yeah, I really do think they have plans for this. I think that this is a tease, but it's also there's something behind it. There's something behind it. So resurrecting a game like Dirt to Daytona and just modernizing it and bringing it to consoles and PC as a video game, I would be so excited to see where they go with it. But I want to see innovation. I want to see something. I World of Outlaws, right? I haven't played it, but I have watched a lot of gameplay. I've seen other people play it. It looks like a very, very polished version of the Heat series from 704 because Monster Games worked on it. So you have the same type of user interface and all that. But it's more polished. Everything's more polished. Everything seems to work much better. So especially for a first game, I think it's fantastic. Because a lot of what we saw with the Heat series took 4 years just to get there. So um, I think they're very capable. They've proven that they know how to program AI. It's not perfect, right? Like I said, the green flag pit stops, the pit logic, a lot of the things that happen in between in pit cycles, that needs work, right? But the actual on-track racing, yeah, Monster Games has done a tremendous job. And they started with NASCAR Heat 4. So And then you have iRacing, right? The AI in the iRacing service is really good. It's not perfect. Again, it also has issues. And it is very hit and miss depending on what track you're at. But a lot of the issues are related to the green flag pit stop cycles, right? Things like that. So there's a lot of room for improvement. But the actual racing at times is really, really good. So there's a lot of potential there. Another positive thing that I see with iRacing is they already have a lot of assets within iRacing that possibly could translate to a video game. Like there are things that they may not just have to do from scratch. A lot of the car models, a lot of the physics, a lot of the, you know, I mean, I'm not a game developer. I'm sure that you can't just copy and paste and port it to a console video game, but I don't think they have to just do everything from scratch. I mean, some of these things may translate, with some work, but it could save you a lot of time in development. So yeah, I'm really excited about this because I do think they have plans for this. This is not a coincidence. They're not just messing with people, but I mean, I see this emoji here with the laughing. It doesn't make sense. Like if I saw an emoji, there's that emoji where the face is like kind of like thinking. That would make more sense. The laughing emoji, it's almost like we're just messing with you. So that's the only thing that throws me off. But everything else makes sense. I race the vice president, executive vice president, whatever, from iRacing, and Dale Jr., who has a lot of connections with iRacing, a lot of involvement. There's a reason they posted this. It's not just because it's the 20th anniversary. And would the community support a new console Dirt to Daytona game? Hell fucking yes. So if anybody from iRacing is listening, make this fucking happen. You got to do something for this community. We've been getting dirt kicked in our faces for over 10 years now with these developers and just not cutting it. Uh, I do think Monster Games is very capable. World of Outlaws looks really, really solid. And like I said, I want to see something that at least adds something new. It's not enough to have a game where you just jump in the car, race, and then go to the next race. You got to have a sense of accomplishment. There has to be presentation, pre-race, post-race, interviews, right? How about interacting with sponsorships, right? And interacting with owners and things like that. There's a lot that goes on within NASCAR that's off the track that you can have involvement with. You look at games like MLB The Show and NBA 2K, and there's a ton of things. Like the games it's only 50% actually playing the games. It's the other 50% of the game is actually you know doing things off the field, off the court, and that's what makes those games immersive, and it keeps you playing and it keeps you coming back and it gives you that sense of accomplishment that we just don't get even from the best NASCAR games. That's always been something that has come short. So if anyone's listening from any with any influence with iRacing, whatever, please take that into account. If you can deliver a game like Dirt to Daytona and spice it up, and like I said, man, get that crew chief involved and give people that ability to make actual setup improvements to the car without having to have that knowledge of being a fucking a car engineer. Let the game guide you, right? Even going back to you technics, there was one thing they did that I kind of liked. I remember when you were at the setup page, if you highlighted any parts or anything that you wanted to adjust, they would give you a small description of what would happen. So if you made an adjustment here, it would say, well, this will help the car turn on entry, but it'll be uh, kind of tight on exit, and little descriptions. I mean, it wouldn't turn you into a crew chief, but it would guide you a little bit. It would help. But I'm talking about taking it to the next level, and I think it also adds to the immersion. Um, I've been talking about this shit for years, and I am tired of repeating it all the time, but I'm just hoping somebody with influence takes what I'm saying and runs with it. So, I 704 did listen to me at least a little bit, right? They eventually did put stats in the game, and they eventually did give us some customization of the fire suit. Things I was screaming about for years, they did finally listen, at least to that. It's something, but I want these people to go further. Um, Other sports games understand the importance of presentation and all these extra little details. It's not always just about the gameplay. That is the most important part of it, but you need other things. So just putting that out there now in case anybody's listening. I this is I'm a little excited. I don't want to get carried away, and I will tell you, even if they were to just okay, hey, we're doing this, it's not going to come out next year. Like this is going to take a while, um, and God knows how long Motorsport Games is going to drag this out, and it's just one of those things. And I hope that if NASCAR ever does come to a licensing agreement, for God's sake, don't do this exclusivity shit. If other people want to make a NASCAR game, let them fucking make it. Let them compete. Who knows? I mean, when these guys did Dirt to Daytona, they were competitors, direct competitors to EA, to the Thunder series. So we ended up getting right around the same time two of the greatest video NASCAR video games ever made. And this was all within that same period of time, right? Um, that wouldn't have happened if EA had exclusivity at the time. So yeah, don't make that mistake again. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm curious to know what you guys think about what I said. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? But yeah, I would love to see this. And this is a game, yeah, I've never really talked much about because I always kind of looked at NASCAR 2004 Thunder as like that was the measuring stick. But this thing was right neck and neck with it, and I did like a lot of what they did in Dirt to Daytona. So they brought their own flavor. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I look forward to your comments later.